Because the first one started in the 11th century and the year 1099, so it was probably the first or second crusade.
Look at you, shine it. Good.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. All right, that reference, phenomenal assumption, right? Could have started in the first crusades, right, or second crusades because we have the point of reference, the time period in which it starts. All right, what I'd like for you to do now for the questions, this will probably be the most important part for you. All right, now any questions that you have, now this is a little bit different from the last PBL, is now you can ask either yes or no questions, or you can make a statement, because right now you've gathered some pretty good evidence, right? You have some facts that are helping you support, right, your claim. So if you have a statement that you'd like to make, that you believe is true, right, you can make just a plain statement. Okay, so the statement is, this is happening during the Crusades. Right, you already have an answer for it, so you can make a statement. And what I've done here, in yellow, right, if you look at the yellow for this first part, right, the first two sentences will unlock a picture. Right, the second, right, the third and fourth sentences, right, this will unlock a video. So based on either the questions that you ask or the statements that you make, right, this will unlock more information. Okay, so think of the assumptions that you've made. I'll give you 1 minute, record any questions or finalized statements that you can make. All right, any questions or finalized statements, and then we'll start. Remember your statements, you want to try to back up with fact. So you can ask a question, or just make a statement that you know is true based on okay. Three, two, one. Hooray! All right. Looking at some of your statements, it looks like there's more statements than there are questions. What I want to first do is take any questions that have kind of come up. Let's go 1, 2, and then 3, Fiona.
Who won the battle?
Okay, who won the battle? So either asking the yes or no. So how can we form that in the yes or no question?
Did the Islamic people win the battle?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, eventually, right? Yes, eventually. And I'll show you let's show you the first scene. All right, the first scene of our PBL, we look at the first set of fighting. This will give us kind of the backdrop of those first two sentences. All right, first, let's take a second. Let me shut it off.
No, I can't see. Need glasses.
All right, so looking at the scene here, all right, what inferences can we make? We have the Christians, right, are located at the bottom of the garrison. Right, up at the top, you have Muslim soldiers, you have a siege tower, you have the city of Jerusalem. What information, right, does this provide us? Let's gather our thoughts, just look for a second. All right, Abby, what information do we get from this?
Well, with this picture here and the little tower, during this time, Christians were probably thought lower than everyone else, so they would have to be lower down, and since Muslims thought they had higher power, they would be higher up.
Okay, so maybe we're seeing some kind of religious predictions that are made from this. Aaron, what information does the pictures give us? What do you
I
got?
don't know, but in response to what she said, they were lower in the Middle East, but in Europe, they were higher, and they all went to war, and because the Pope declared the war.
Excellent. So we have, and you're going to unlock another picture, and then I'll come back to this one. All right, what Aaron is talking about here. Right here, you have the gathering under Pope Urban II has gathered his followers, right, taken Christians under the name of the cross, in the name of God, and made a religious pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Now, this is over a 3-year time period in which they travel 3,000 miles all right, in this, right, crossing through the Alps, difficult terrain, through the stronghold in Constantinople, most of our warfare, right, is going to happen within this last 700 miles, but a majority of the fighting is going to happen in the city of Jerusalem. Right, now, what may cause someone to travel 3,000 miles? What's the guiding force here, Aaron?
Jesus.
Right, you have Jesus, the name of God, fighting under faith and your belief, right, against, right, what they determine as infidels, the non-believers. So Christians going and traveling, fighting against, right, the Muslims. Now, this picture can give us what information? Right, Paul?
That at this point, the Muslims were in control of Jerusalem.
Excellent. For 400 years. Right, the additional information here is that the Muslims are in control of Jerusalem. And so when the attack occurs, right, you notice the Christians had to gather wood and resources to build a siege tower after traveling 3,000 miles to apply this attack. Now, at this case, right, the Muslims were kind of shocked, right, that they had traveled this far. And so that will give us some insight into what this looks like. We go back to the part here where it says, one of your brothers was tortured by being cast into burning flames while alive, and you have been forced to pick up your way over the dead bodies of men and horses with blood up to your knees inside of the Dome of the Rock. Right? What statement or information can we have of why these conflicts are happening at the Dome of the Rock? Right, Julian?
Because it seemed like the Islam people were ruling, and that they kind of took over the Dome of the Rock as their religion, and it seemed like the Christian people were trying to overthrow the Muslims so that they could use the Dome of the Rock to follow their religion.
Excellent. All right, Chris, if you can shut that light. All right. This is what the scene would look like, right, during the crusade when the invasion first occurs. So this will kind of give you a little bit of
14th of July.
The Muslim people were relentless. They were not going to quit until all those Christians were either dead or they were going back to where they came from. And with the Christians, they were probably doing the same thing. They were not going to stop until every Muslim would be dead, or they're just going to leave.
And why is this? Who can expand on that? Why? What is the driving force here? Paul, what do you got?
This is all in an effort to control the Holy Land of Jerusalem because of significance in both of these religions.
Okay, so the significance in the beliefs of these religions have led people to travel 3,000 miles into direct conflict, which we see elements of not only warfare but ruthless bloodshed of humans being sent into other humans, of dead bodies and chaos. And what this has caused, and actually for the Christians, in the element of surprise. Do we have any evidence that the Christians are successful? Or why might you think? What's a prediction on why you think the Christians would be successful in this first crusade? I can take anybody I haven't heard from in a little while. Why might the Christians be successful?
Wait, I have a question.
Question?
The Christians, they were killing the Islamic people.
Yep.
They
Muslims.
didn't follow the Ten Commandments.
Phenomenal question.
Just don't murder. If you're defending yourself, it's sort of alright.
Yeah,
kill
war
someone.
occurs throughout the Bible.
So, well, yes. Well, I mean, war is an element of all of the holy books. But one of the things that was revoked was the commandment of "Thou shalt not kill," unless it was an infidel. Pope Urban II guided people by saying, "Strike against the non-believers." Right? And what we see here, Marcello, is a great question. Is the Christians using this as passion of their faith to go and attack the Muslims? And so, what you see in these pictures here, Haley, statement or question?
Well, it says we learned about like Muslims and the religion that it was their belief to convert others into their religion, but like not forcefully.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they be fighting and not like going into war to make people believe?
This isn't to convert, this is to defend the Holy Land.
For the Muslims at first, it was in defense. For Christians, it's to reclaim their land. And in the first crusade, which Aaron referenced, the Christians are successful. All right? What evidence do we have here that this is Jerusalem? We have what?
The Dome of the Rock.
Right, number 2 here, right, we have the Dome of the Rock, we have the central location of Jerusalem. The Christians are victorious, right, in the First Crusade. Right, now, evidence from, and Abby, let me just move to the second paragraph here, and I'll get back to your question. In the second paragraph, right, what inferences, assumptions, or statements can we make about that second paragraph that the tides are going to turn?
That's what I was trying to answer.
Abby? Yep.
Yeah, well,
You were reading my mind.
like the second and the third one, it says that they were just like heavily having faith in Allah, that he was just going to have a basically internal beatdown on the Christians and they were going to somehow win. But it says like, so it must mean that like they're even though they're fighting back as hard as they can, they're hanging by a thread. And then after that it says time will only tell what the result will be. So even though they're heavily praying in Allah, and even though they're fighting really hard, they could still lose really badly.
And the new leader, right, Saladin, as you can see in any type of leadership role, kind of strikes this emotional like leadership, right? He was steadfast and fearless. And so the leader, Saladin, who leads the Muslims to be victorious, and you can see the journey in which the next and following Second, Third, and Fourth Crusades take place. What information does this map give us about the route in which the Crusades takes? What information can we gather from here? James, what's some pivotal information that we have here?
The time periods that they happened in.
All right, we have a time period, right, the Crusades, which last almost 200 years. So we have 200 years of fighting. Abby, something else?
With a couple of the Crusades in particular, some of them are mostly land-based, and then some of them are almost all sea-based.
Excellent. So you have an attack on land and by water. The steadfast leader, Saladin, takes on the Christians in what will lead into our second video.